The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies and Coat Dance Paints, and also by the generous donations of you, the listener. Thank you to everyone for your support. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 109. Interviews I would have recorded at Salute had I had the chance, with guests Mike Hobbs, McBride, Townshend, and Peter Berry. This show was recorded on several dates in May 2013. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast with me, your host, Neil Shook. Well, this show has been a bit longer in coming than what I originally anticipated. The actual idea behind this particular show was to record several interviews with people who I didn't get a chance to interview during the Salute show. And the plan was to release this a couple of weeks after the previous show. Okay, obviously the previous show 108 was all about interviews at Salute. This is going to be a bit of a follow-up show. Unfortunately, real world intervenes, and you basically end up in situations where people really haven't got time to speak, or things crop up. People are preparing for other shows. May is actually quite a busy part of the show season in the UK. And it's actually a pretty busy month for me as well. So with one thing and another, it just got to a point where I've only recently finished these interviews, and so it's a case of I'm bringing them to you pretty much as soon as I'm able to. Okay, so apologies for the delay in getting this show to you. So what have we got for you today? Well, basically, a series of 4 interviews. Chatting to various people about what's going on with them at the moment. First off, I chat with Mike Hobbs now. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that Mike co-presents the show with me on a regular basis these days. This time he's appearing with his official Saga hat on, and we're going to chat about the new releases for Saga and what's coming up for that particular system. That's primarily because Alex from Studio Tomahawk wasn't around at Salute. There was a last minute issue and he couldn't make it. So I'm chatting to Mike in Alex's stead. Then we got a chat with a guy called McBride from a new company, Agema Miniatures. And then we talk to 2 regular friends of the show, Townshend from the Plastic Soldier Company and Peter Berry from Baccus Miniatures. So hopefully you'll find something of interest in the next hour and 20 minutes or so. So I'll take a quick break and then we'll come back with the series of interviews.
The eagles have gone. Britain lies defenseless in a cruel world. Since the birth of our Lord, it has been 456 years. What sins have we committed to bring this punishment to Britain? I speak, of course, of the Saxons. They came as allies, but now they seek conquest. The lands of the Britons lie ravaged before them. Blood runs red in our island. We need a leader to stand against them. We need a man to bring together the Britons in common cause. We seek a Dux Britanniarum.
Right, that's enough of that. Dux Britanniarum from Two Fat Lardies. They really are very good.
Well, I've managed to catch up with Mike Hobbs, who has put a different hat on today, and he's talking all about Saga as opposed to co-presenting the show with me. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
Right, so, week after Salute now, as we're recording this particular conversation, you seem to be a bit of a busy boy on the day.
Yeah, it didn't stop all day. We were running a couple of demo games, showing off the new Rus and the Byzantines, obviously, which were released in WI, the 331, I think it was, or 301. And we also had a demo of the upcoming supplement, which would be the currently called Crescent and the Cross, which might change. And we also had the Great Hall, which we were due to play a bunch of games in, but nobody wanted to play the games in it. They just wanted to look at it and play with it, and then a lot of people went off and actually bought one, which was great. So it was a busy day. Yeah, we didn't stop all day. There was myself and Win sort of on the tables, and then a couple of guys from the forum, the 2 days, and Paul came over and gave us a hand. So it was nice. It was a good day, but just didn't get a chance to do anything. Just sat there and played Saga all day, which was great fun.
Mm-hmm. Now, we chatted before the show. It turned out that Alex unfortunately couldn't get over, and so I thought it'd be good to actually kind of catch up with you and to actually, just to kind of catch up and talk about the new releases that you've had. So first off, let's talk about the Great Hall. You kind of hinted at it for a while that there was something on the there was something coming in the pipeline that was a little bit kind of out there and big and huge as far as scenery is concerned. And it's certainly big, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah, it's a chunky piece of kit. It's a figure beauty. I'm really amazed with it. I mean, this idea of the Great Hall came about when we met up the guys from Foregrounds last year, and it was a bit of an off-the-cuff comment from one of the guys who sort of said, wouldn't it be good to have a really big mead hall, like an Edoras thing? And then instead of sort of laughing and sort of pretending that didn't happen, everybody's eyes sort of lit up, and it was like a case of, could you do it? Their eyes lit up even bigger and went, it'd be really good fun to try. So we gave them a really in-depth design brief for, can you build us an Edoras for the Vikings, please? That's about 2 foot long. And they went away and did it.
Right.
And it's a stunning piece of kit. I mean, just to make it clear, you don't need it for a game of Saga. It is, I suppose you call it a bit of a vanity project. There's been people who said it's too expensive.
I say for 200 quid's a heck of a lot of vanity, isn't it?
It's 200 quid for the small model. Yeah. But I mean, this will probably lead on to a much wider and longer conversation on what's the price of something. Is it do you put the its worth on what it's made out of, or do you put its worth on the amount of time taken to make that thing?
Yeah.
Anybody who came to see at Salute, and there were people queuing up to find out about it. Everybody who came up and basically said it's worth it. They then usually said, I'd love to buy one, but I can't afford to buy it, but it's worth it. And when you look at the detail in it, it is. You know, it's 200 quid for the one they had at Salute. I think the final product is going to be a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But that might include free postage throughout the world. I'm not sure yet. But it's a great big modular hall, and it can be made bigger. They're going to have parts you can drop in there. There's scenery which goes into it. They're going to have figures in there, and they're going to have a bunch of scenarios to actually play inside of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a stunning piece of kit. I mean, it is huge, and we spent some time with you on Saturday, just basically kind of taking bits apart and what have you, and all the roof come off, and there's double stories and all sorts, and it's all fully detailed, all fully painted. So yeah, completely stunning piece of kit.
Yeah, you just got to glue it together. But yeah, it is. It is a bit of a vanity project. This is not something you need for the game. But if you're into either Saga or let's be honest, any other sort of Dark Age game or fantasy games or Lord of the Rings or anything, it's just a nice thing to have if you can afford it, but you don't have to have it. It doesn't make your army play any better. It doesn't give you any bonuses. It's just a nice piece of kit, and sometimes it's just nice to sort of push that envelope a little bit.
Yeah.
Instead of just kicking out stuff that everybody needs, it's nice to. It's quite nice to turn around to a firm like Foreground and say, look, go and do something. Go and push yourselves. Show us what you can do, and Grip and Beast would work quite hard to sort of fund that. That's brought Grip and Beast and Foreground quite close together, because they have worked together on it really well. Just from a design point of view, it's amazing. Everything fits together and it looks beautiful. So yeah. Well, we can have a conversation on what something is worth, maybe on another podcast.
Yeah.
But I can go into full rant mode.
No, that's fair enough, mate. That's fair enough. Okay,
which I can't do today because I'm Mr. Saga.
Okay, in that case, then we'll gloss over that bit and pass on to right. Another release, obviously. I mean, you already hinted about it. Was what I believe is the last in the kind of current Dark Age releases for Saga, which are the Russ and a reprint of the Byzantines.
Yeah, that's right. It's the original plan for Salute was to release the Crusade supplement, which is obviously coming.
Yeah.
But back in November, we took the decision, and I think wisely, that wouldn't be ready, and we could either rush it out just to make a deadline, or we could do it properly, and we very wisely decided that we wanted to do it properly. And so we sort of basically shelved it for a few months. Alex had the battle boards for the Rust pretty much done, and because they're sort of fairly standard battle boards, there's no special rules in there. It meant that we could get the play testing done quite quickly. And obviously there's only two of them, so we could pile into that play testing quite merrily. And we decided, well, the original idea was just to release the Rust as a double-sided battle board.
Oh, okay.
So you'd have the Rust Princes on one side, which is the later Rust, and then you'd have the early Pagan Rust on the back, or on the front, depending which way you looked at it.
Right.
But then we sort of went from that, and it was a case of, well, that's not really much, to do for Salute, because we wanted to do big releases for Salute. Everyone does.
Yeah.
We also had some swords for hire figures, which we were nearly finished play testing. So we came up with the idea of, well, let's put the Byzantines in there, because they'd been released in Morgan's Illustrated as a limited edition thing. We were going to put a free PDF up on the website, but then we thought, well, it seems wrong not to have a proper battle board.
Yeah.
In the same style as the rest of them. So we bundled those three battle boards together with the faction rules. And then somebody came up with the idea of, well, let's make a nice big sort of card folder to hold everything in. And so it all sort of got packaged together in that way. And that was the release. So, yeah, again, I think it went up for about £12. But the folder's quite nice. I've actually got all of my stuff piled into it, and I've got quite a lot more battle boards than probably the majority of Saga players, because I've got quite a lot of the new ones in there as well. Yeah. And it sort of holds it nice, and it fills up and it looks like a book, and it sits on my shelf at last. So it's quite a nice little idea.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, especially with the fact that we're up to 3 books plus extra battle boards and this, that, and the other. I mean, it does mean that it all keeps it all nice and neat, all nice and safe, all in one place, and yeah.
Yeah, and it sort of finishes off that sort of era that we've been working on, which is sort of the Dark Age, Northern Europe, around Byzantine, and that sort of area.
Yeah.
We also had quite a few Swords for Hire units coming out. We had the Angry Monks, which were a lot of fun, and they got some great little figures of those. There's New Rus Warlords come out. There's the Wandering Bards figures. And there's the Steppe Nomads, which is a Swords for Hire, which are only usable by the Rus.
Oh, right, okay.
There's also the new Carolingian Half Guard on foot were released. So there was quite a few sort of smaller releases that came out of Salute.
Yeah.
Some of which I probably were overlooked. I mean, but yeah, I mean they all just sort of flesh out the basic sort of rules and give players a lot more sort of versatility.
Yeah.
In what they're doing, and it gives us a nice sort of final line now that we can now move on to the next thing, which is the Crusader and the Cross, which is going to be a big thing.
Okay, yes, a seamless segue into So as you say, next thing then is Crusaders and the Cross. Can you tell us much about that as far as what the plans are as far as that is concerned?
Not massively, to be honest with you. All I can say really is it's going to be a self-contained sort of book or self-contained collection of books. We're still in sort of discussion how we're going to do it.
Right.
I think there's going to be 6 factions in there, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
But I can't really say that much more. Is
it just covering First Crusade?
First Crusade and Spain, so LCD.
Oh, right, okay. So
possibly, I think.
Okay, so so it kind of follows on from Byzantines and Normans going into the First Crusade. Not much of the later stuff.
No, it's going to be early. It's going to be. I guess you can sort of class it as coming under the expansion of the Franks and the Normans. Obviously they were really busy around sort of Italy and around what is now sort of Macedonia and Serbia and Croatia and all that sort of area. Shall we say sort of? I suppose you can sort of say Northern Mediterranean era, possibly into sort of Morocco, Tunisia, sort of Libya, all around there. It's First Crusade, but it's up to about 11th, 12th century, I guess.
Right.
It's going to be more of a self-contained thing now.
Yeah.
I don't think I doubt there'll be many supplements coming on afterwards that'll cover the same thing.
Okay. So are we likely to see that probably September time?
No.
No.
Not a chance.
Right, okay.
Now, we've literally, because we sort of pushed it back to get the Rus play tested, it's going to be a minimum of 6 months. It may not even be Christmas. There's a lot of stuff in there that we need to play test.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also need to play test it against the existing factions. Even though there wasn't much of a crossover, obviously there was with the Normans, with the Franks, obviously with the Byzantines and the Rus, you can cross over a bit. But we still need to be aware that there might be one player down the club who's got a Viking army and somebody else who might pick up, say, a Moor army. So you still need to get them to balance, even though historically they never met. We still need to have. We can't just balance them against the Normans and the Franks,
right?
Just because they would have met up. That just seems wrong. So we have to sort of balance them all together. I imagine that'll probably be the last one that we do that we will try and balance. I think everything we do from here on in will be pretty much self-contained.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Okay. So it sounds like it's going to be something that's either going to be Christmas or even Salute next year.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, we put a lot of time into playtesting. And we're at the position now that we don't have to rush stuff out just to make a deadline.
Yeah.
And I think all of us everyone in Grip and Beastland, everybody in Studio Tomahawk Land, basically follows that ethos. You know, it's whereas before we did rush stuff out to get it out ready for salutes or for crisis, which did impact not on the playtest but possibly on the proofreading and on the getting stuff ready for printing.
Yeah.
We don't want to be going on that line again, so we've put in a bunch of whole new sort of processes around playtesting. Around the proofreading of stuff, which obviously means it takes longer, but it means that we can not have the stupid mistakes that we've had in the past.
Okay, well, that's great, Mike. Thank you very much for keying us in for stuff with Saga, and we'll look forward to see what comes out from Gripping Beast and Studio Tomahawk in the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, it's also probably worth mentioning that the long-awaited Plastic Hairies came out as well.
Oh yes, I do think.
Which are obviously not done for Saga. They are just which again, I think people do get quite misunderstood that they think everything that comes out for Gripping Beast is just for Saga. The plastics aren't. The plastics are released for any game system. You can obviously use them in Saga, and I certainly intend to. But they're not packaged for Saga. But you get a nice box of 40 plastic unarmored troops, which are for myriad uses. Yeah,
and indeed, and because of the sort of kit they're armed with and the options available, they can actually cover quite a big period of the Dark Ages, can't they?
Yeah, no, they're a really useful pack. I can see them flying out. I mean, they did fly out on last Saturday. I think the sales of those have been really good. I think we'll probably cover those again. I think you've got some spoos to have a little play with.
Indeed, I have. Yes, so we'll probably come back to those in another podcast, and we'll have a chat about that.
Cool.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
No problem, mate.
Well, I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Greg McBride from Agema Miniatures. Hello, Greg.
Hello there. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you very much. I'm well.
Good. Now, I bumped into Greg at Salute this year. Unfortunately, things being as they are, I didn't actually get a chance to get back to him to do an interview. We did have a quick chat, and so I thought it'd be really good to actually kind of catch up afterwards and ask all the questions that I wanted to ask on the day and never got round to. So first off, I understand it was your first Salute, Greg?
It was indeed, yes. First time at Salute and first time with a new range of figures as well.
Okay, so Agema was a pretty new company, yeah?
Yes, we had the idea probably about 18 months ago now, actually, but in terms of bringing that to fruition, we actually managed to get master sculpted, molds made, etc., and the first figures produced. I think it was actually around the end of March, so
right.
The plan was always to try and have something ready for Salute, it being the biggest show in the UK.
Yeah.
And yes, we managed to get everything to coincide. So it was a first for us on all fronts.
Okay, so as far as bringing product to market is concerned, you produced your first box set is a box of 28mm plastic Roman Velites, yeah?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and that's for Punic War period, yeah?
Yeah, it's Hellenistic and Punic Wars, so the miniatures are designed to run pretty much up to the Marian reforms for the Roman buffs out there. So it's First, Second Punic Wars, basically.
Right. Okay, so why go for that period? And why plastic?
Well, why that period? I grew up basically reading Peter Connolly's books. So I had Greece and Rome at War practically on permanent loan from my school library.
Right.
And for me, that period, both the sort of the early Alexandrian period through to the end of what's generally called the Hellenistic and Punic Wars, that for me has always been my favourite period of military history.
Yeah.
And why Roman velities to start with? Well, I guess if you're going to pick the most popular, if you like, elements within that range of history, Romans always crop up to the top. So a Roman army is always a very popular one. Although, in my opinion, no one's really done Republican Romans very well. There's a lot of imperial Romans out there, and everybody's very au fait with your Hollywood-type Lorica Segmentata armored legionaries. But the period of Hannibal, it's a hugely pivotal period in military history, and it's not really been done to a great extent.
Yeah. There's been a couple of attempts in the past, haven't there? I mean, there's obviously, there's one, there's a couple of ranges I can think of in metal, one range in plastic, which, well, wasn't the greatest success in the world, I don't think.
No, indeed, and I guess why plastic? Really, I think there's two answers to that. One's economic, and one's actually a bit more practical. The economic one is plastics are really quite difficult to produce. Yeah. The cost of production is really quite high, so there's a natural barrier to entry there. And I guess what that means from a commercial perspective is there isn't a huge amount of competition in terms of plastics in particular ranges, although that is changing. More and more people are bringing more and more plastics to market. Mm-hmm. I guess what that means in terms of a practical aspect as well. If you think about it, I mean, I'm a war gamer, the same as your listeners, and what does plastic bring to a wargamer? I think what it brings from a playing perspective is the ability to purchase large quantities of figures at a lower cost than metal. Yeah. So if you think about some of the pivotal battles that happened during the Punic Wars, Cannae, for instance, we're talking. Apparently the Romans lost 50,000 men killed on the day. So you're talking armies of tens to hundreds of thousands of men. Yes. Which for me as a kid growing up was always one of the most exciting things. It was the size and trying to conjure the image of legions and legions of troops. And actually, to do that justice in metal is hugely prohibitive in terms of cost. You look at most games of the period. We've got legions made up of 24, 36 figures at the outside mostly. Phalanxes of 24 figures. To me, the period was always around having legions of maybe tens to hundreds of figures, phalanxes that really looked like thousands and thousands of men in serried ranks. And to do that in metal, that's really difficult to do. That's really cost prohibitive. Yeah. So, sorry, that's a fairly long-winded way of answering the question, which is, why this period? Because I don't think it's really been done in enough detail properly to date. Why in plastics? Because I think the size of the battles in this period lend themselves to a volume approach which plastics provide rather than metal. Yeah. Okay, so why not start with the basic Roman legionary? That's a good question, and I guess there's the simple answer to that is it's a learning curve. Right. So from our perspective, to dive straight into what would be a very complicated and very expensive sculpt and moulding process, we've decided to defer. So you hinted at it earlier on, that there are some plastic legionary figures that sort of touch on this period available. But nobody's ever done velities. No one's ever done the skirmishing side of things. So one, it was an easier approach in terms of a sculpt. It was a lower cost in terms of the mould and production process. And two, it gave us the opportunity to learn and also establish a reputation and let people know that we were out there and we were doing something without the huge financial burden that would have been attached to going all out for a box of Roman legionaries from the outset. Yeah. I see. So, obviously these were on sale at Salute, your first show. How did it go? It was good, actually. It was good. The way it panned out wasn't quite as I was expecting it, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is we were expecting to sell lots and lots of boxes to the average Joe punter, the people like you and me that wander around the show and think, oh, that's new, I like that, and I'll buy some boxes. Yeah. Actually, we ended up selling more than we expected to distributors.
Right.
I hadn't even considered the distribution market before Salute. I thought that people just bought boxes of product direct, and with our website up and running in time for Salute, people would come to the website and they would buy it from us on the website, or they would buy it from us on the stand on the day.
Yeah.
And actually, we sold a reasonable amount on the day like that we were very happy with the volume that we sold, but actually we've sold an awful lot more consequently to distributors who've taken hundreds of boxes at a time, which is the sort of sales volume that you couldn't achieve with your average punter on the day.
Quite. Okay. From the sound of things, it's already been a qualified success, as in it's a good start to the range. I suppose the biggest question is where do you go from here?
Well, the plan was always to move into the Roman legionaries next, and we have those master figures being sculpted as we speak. So all being well, they will be available commercially later on this year, so later on in 2013. And the idea being that then we're starting to double up in sets, so you've got the skirmishers and then you've got the legionaries that go with them.
Yeah.
This is going forward for the future, all subject to how the next phases go, because obviously, as we've already said, that there's a lot of cost involved in plastics. And
certainly, yeah.
That it has to be financially viable, because there's a finite amount of money that I can put into these things. But if the legionaries and combined with the velities go well, something else I'd really like to do is produce Republican Roman cavalry. Again, going to the premise that what does plastic bring to the wargamer? It brings the ability to purchase lots of figures at a relatively low cost.
Yeah.
And cavalry, I think, really lend themselves well to plastics. One, because of the variety in pose and positioning you can get, and also because of that lower cost. So, in an ideal world, skirmishers, legionaries, cavalry, and then move into the opponents. So that would be Carthaginians, Spanish, Libby-Phoenician infantry, so Carthaginian citizen, Libby-Phoenician infantry, and the allied troops that go with your typical Carthaginian army. So a huge range of possibilities there, going all the way through to Celtiberians, Celts themselves, Ligurians, etc. Now, obviously, as I've already said, there's a lot of cost involved with that process. So we're talking a long way out here. None of this is going to happen in the next few months.
Yes,
but ultimately, that's where we'd like to see the range going.
Right. Okay. So I mean, it's good to see that you've already got things planned out, and obviously, if you are planning to do all this in plastic, it's going to be something which, as you say, will be a lot more affordable for the average gamer. And it certainly seems to be one of the main directions that the industry is going in these days, doesn't it?
It does indeed. It does indeed. And I think the quality and production of plastics has taken on leaps and bounds in the last few years. I mean, we've got Renedra making our figures, and Terry and the guys at Renedra are hugely experienced, having started off in GW days and bringing GW's plastics to market, and then going into doing their own ranges. And the quality of plastics has I think reached a point where you can actually do certain things in plastic that you can't do in metal. And you can actually get a level of quality in plastic that I think can surpass a lot of what's available in the metals market. So I think where the industry is going is you from a wargamer's perspective, win on both counts. You get very, very detailed models with a lot of posability and a lot of flexibility at a lower per unit cost. So that's got to be a good thing.
Okay, so going back to what you've currently got available, where can people actually pick up your product from, and what exactly is involved in the box?
So we have a website, which is www.agemaminiatures.co.uk. And the figures are available on there. Also with some bases from Renedra to go with them. So we've got some round 25mm plastic bases for them to be mounted on.
Right. Okay.
Also in the pipeline, pretty much as a a consequence of suggestions we received at Salute, actually. So hopefully we like to think that we're responsive and we're reactive to people's requests. We're looking at the possibility of bringing out some additional sprues of extra arms, weapons, head variants, etc.
Oh, right, yeah.
So hopefully in the next few weeks, months, we should also have those up on the site. So one of the things that we quite liked about starting with Velites is that you've got as your base a fairly vanilla warrior, in effect, a guy in sandals and tunics, and the ability to add head variants, arm variants, weapon variants, to actually repurpose those, we think is quite nice. So the idea is to bring some of those out as additional sprues that can either be purchased separately, or if people are interested, we can add them into the box and actually make them as part of the box. In terms of what comes in the box, there's 8 sprues of 2 figures, so there's 16 figures in the box for £9.60. The figures come with arm and weapon variants, so there's the possibility to make 16 different variants of the figures in the box, with weapon variants, heads, arm variants, etc., and also the wolf skin and pelt that the historians tell us the Roman Velites occasionally wore.
Yeah. So effectively, although they're sculpted as Velites, especially with the arm variants, you've potentially got what is a generic light infantry figure.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. I mean, I personally hadn't really appreciated the extent to which the base figure could be modified, but one particular chap came along to speak to me at Salute and bought 5 boxes to convert to unarmoured hoplites.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was a completely new one on me. I hadn't thought of that. And when I probed him a bit closer, he was saying, well, okay, there are plenty of plastic hoplites available out there at the moment, but none of them are unarmoured. And I'm also looking for Campanian, Apulian type unarmoured hoplites, so sort of Magna Graecia type hoplites from the Punic Wars period.
Yeah.
So they're basically Italians. They basically wear the same shift that the Romans wear. All I've got to do is stick some feathers on the helmets and change the flat shield to a hoplite shield, and there we go. So I thought, right, okay, yeah, I hadn't appreciated that.
Right, okay, so. A very flexible first box set then. Probably more, as you say, more flexible than you probably appreciated.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, happy consequence. Actually, we hadn't set out with that high degree of flexibility in mind. We'd set out to actually sculpt a nice box set of Velites. But actually, as we've gone through the process and people have given us feedback, happy consequence of that is, as you say, something that's a lot more applicable than we ever dreamed of.
Fantastic. So, from what you said, we can hopefully get to see Legionaries later in the year. You do mention on your website the possibility of doing a Kickstarter to fund those. Is that something you're definitely looking into, or is that still only a possibility?
We are seriously looking into it. I guess the reason for looking at that is the money involved in bringing a large box set to production is significant, and there's always a commercial risk around whether we would recoup that cost and hopefully make enough profit to then move into the next box set. And thinking about Kickstarter, what Kickstarter potentially allows us to do is short-circuit that process. So instead of waiting to sell enough volume to fund the next box, we effectively short-circuit that, and we're able to go straight into production. Yeah. Now, the question mark in my mind is what we offer people such that they have an incentive, a sufficient enough incentive to invest in a Kickstarter program. There's a balancing act between how much you need and what you're able to offer to actually get people to invest. So we're still going through that process at the moment to define exactly what we can offer people that's sufficient incentive for sufficient numbers to invest, and have obviously actually raised the money to then accelerate the process. Mm-hmm. If we launch it and we don't do it properly, then it won't succeed, and obviously the process becomes null and void. And we don't want to do that. If we're going to do it, we want to make sure it's successful and that people get what they're investing in. So we've got to think about it carefully, but if we think we can make it work, then we will be doing it as quickly as we possibly can.
Right, fantastic. Well, it sounds like a tremendously interesting project. I know the Punic Wars is something that I always had half an eye on. So
it's funny how many people say that. It's funny, and again, it was part of the rationale for looking at this particular period, because the number of people that you speak to who wargame who say, "Yeah, Punic Wars, yeah, must do that one day."
Yes, it is one of those things. It's, for want of a better phrase, it's a lovely kind of self-contained set of battles within the ancient period, isn't it? I mean, okay, there were a number of battles to be fought, so nice and varied. But as you say, you got some smaller ones, and then you got some really big battles to go at as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Hannibal's occupation of Italy. You've got the Romans trying to cut the Carthaginian war machine off in Spain. You've got warfare in Africa. I mean, it even spills over into the Romans then eventually taking out Philip V and bringing to an end the independent Hellenistic kingdoms as a consequence of Philip threatening to help Hannibal. So you can even start to bring successors and Greeks into it. There's a hugely varied number of characters in the whole period, but by the same token, as you say, it's a nicely self-contained period as well. And yes, it's funny how many people say to us, "Oh yeah, I have to get around to doing that one day."
Well, Greg, it's been fantastic to speak to you. I wish you all the very best, and as I say, look forward to seeing more from you very soon.
Yes, indeed. We'll put pictures up of the masters as we get them finished. We're just in the process of getting those sent off to resin now. So in the next few months, we should start to have something up on the site that people can see. And keep an eye out for the Kickstarter. And thank you very much for the interview.
That's great. Thank you for speaking to us.
No problem at all.
The battles of fantasy to conflicts in space. Through all wars of history. This is the Meeples and Miniatures podcast.
Very pleased to catch up once again with Will Townshend from the Plastic Soldier Company. Hi, Will.
Hello.
We kind of saw each other very, very briefly at Salute and didn't really get a chance to catch up.
Yeah.
But I'm aware that an awful lot is happening with the Plastic Soldier Company at the moment. I was just wondering if you could kind of fill us in on what's going on.
Yes, no, of course. I mean, we're driving forward still, obviously, with our World War II stuff. The core 15mm and 172 ranges. But, both going very well. There's been quite a surge in 172, which I like. Everyone knows I'm a old-fashioned 20mm man, so I've always said that I think 172 needs to be revived, and not just World War II. But anyway, we're going off on a tangent already. So the World War II stuff is still driving forward. We've still got so much to do. And I do get quite a few people saying, "When are you going to do some more 28mm?" And it's like, well, we'd like to, we'd love to, but it's quite hard when you've got golden handcuffs of 15mm and 172. I think we probably spoken about this before. So World War II is still forging ahead. Obviously, going very well hand in hand with our Battle Group Kursk and series of supplements. So that's we're trying to theme our releases to the book releases.
Sure.
Not religiously, and it would be very, very difficult to say, right, we're going to have everything for this supplement, everything for Normandy in 2 scales. For when the book comes out, but as I say, it's trying to keep it roughly themed. And with that, we're also trying to fill out and push forward the peripheral ranges. The decal sets do very well. They're rolling on nicely, so we're still trying to get those filled out. And of course, our big new war sprays range, which I'm particularly
interesting. Yes, I mean, I don't think anybody's particularly done well, I suppose it's effectively kind of World War II version of army paint, isn't it?
It is. Well, it is, and it's not. I mean, there's, I see there's a nice gap in the market there. Flames of War don't seem to, or they're a bit slow on restocking their sprays. Again, guys that know me know I'm a real spray and a wash fan, personally, and always have been. And it's, get those armies out there and, get them playing, which is very in tune, of course, with the guys at Army Painter. Get those Games Workshop armies out there and played with. So, to me, it was a very natural thing to do, to create a range of war sprays to go with. Now, they're not actually Army Painter primers. This whole concept of a very high quality primer spray paint that Army Painter do. What we've done is with the guys from Army Painter, we've created a new spray paint which is very high quality. High pigment. You need one spray, one coat, and it gives a very even finish, on one coat. It's not that special primer thing that you have to handle quite carefully with Army Painter, Right. Our sprays are much more forgiving, but as I say, you don't need to sort of layer 2 or 3 sprays on it, or 2 or 3 layers, and you don't need to prime your model first.
Oh, right. Okay.
With a black primer or a white primer or whatever, it sprays straight on. I've obviously tested exhaustively our sprays on my plastic stuff. Yeah. And it just sprays straight on. There's just no need for a priming spray. The same is said for resin and metal. Yep. Yeah. But metal. There's probably more of an argument to do a primer coat first. Yeah. But as I say, you don't need to, and you will probably find our sprays will give good coverage. So it was trying to get something between a Flames of War spray, and a Army Painter primer spray. It's trying to get something in the middle and to push the highest quality of normal spray paint without going into this special primer stuff.
Right. Okay.
I haven't bamboozled everyone, but that's where we're at.
Right. Okay. That sounds I mean that sounds excellent already. I'm kind of thinking, especially with the amount of plastic I've currently got arrayed on my painting table. That
I'll send you some sprays, Neil.
I was going to say it was a case of I was kind of thinking, well, when I heard you were going to come out with this, I thought I'd hold fire and wait for them, simply because it sounds daft, but it's been tremendously difficult to get hold of a decent colour for Dunkelgelb for the longest time. I remember Games Workshop used to do a spray paint of their bubonic brown paint, which was pretty close. But that was discontinued yonks ago. And of course, especially with the issues surrounding transport of spray paints in the post days of the bits and pieces. Okay, you can get hold of little pots of stuff, and I think there's a Rebel one which is okay, but it's brush painting 40 or 50 tanks or have you.
Soul destroying, isn't it?
That's it. So as soon as I heard that you were going to be producing them, I thought, okay, well, I'll step back a minute and I'll wait for some spray paint. So I'm really looking forward to using these.
Well, we've spent some time trying to make sure we've got those colours right. They've been carefully researched, and you'll find they'll also fit very well with the Flames of War shades. And also Vallejo shades. So it's fitting, sort of quite nicely. The aim is to have a small range of pots of the primer paint, so you can touch up as well. Yeah,
oh, okay.
That's the sort of next stage. We've launched the sprays with 5 tank sprays and 4 figure sprays. Which I also thought, well. it's not been done before, and I thought it would be nice to have proper, actual World War II figure sprays. Yeah, so
yes.
you can spray your German infantry and your Russians, and your Russians are great. Hordes of Russians. So I thought let's test the market and let's see whether everyone knows tank spray is brilliant. Yeah, we'll get those hordes of T-34 sprayed up, but I thought let's transfer that concept of speed painting. Yeah. To the figures, so far I think the signs are the marketplace like them, and again we've launched with the full basics, a good German field grey, Russian, British, and US, and obviously the US and the British are sort of late war khaki and olive drab, but the idea was let's get 5 basic tank sprays out, 4 basic figure sprays, and then we will add to them as time goes by.
Great, fantastic. Okay, so that covers war sprays. Now, obviously, you've been really busy in bringing out new kits. I mean, we saw things like the new 172nd Zimmerit Panther at Salute and the M5. I mean, I must admit the Panther kit is absolutely fantastic. I mean, and it goes together so well. It's just a wonderful. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember going back to the old modelling horror stories of things like, all the things that are going around of, how do you do Zimmerit on a tank? And, it's all this thing of, layer your plastic kit in modelling putty and, all that sort of stuff.
Very, very blue feeder with an old egg box and some pair of Val's old knickers sort of thing. Yes, it was always a bit fun. Yeah, exactly. Again, I thought, crikey, let's try and make a good gamer's Zimmerit kit. I know that there's a Dragon kit, but that's in 7,000 pieces, and it's aimed at the modelling market with a price tag to match. So again, it was let's see what the market says. Let's sort of test it, so far so good. It's selling very well, and I'm pleased with it. It was quite fiddly to do. All those little funny edges tooling wise. It caused a few grey hairs. For those of us who've got hair, it was a few grey hairs. But no, it's come out great. And without giving away too much, there's a few other kits that could do with being Zimmerited, both in 1/72 and 15 mil. Yeah. Right. So without saying too much, we may as well see some more Zimmerit out there.
Oh, fantastic! Okay, so we've obviously got the M3 and the M5 hard tracks,
yes.
And now we're looking towards doing those in 1/72 scale, yeah.
Yes, they are due for release this week. Both the M3 and the M5. Yeah. We had the first boxes for Sheffield Triples last weekend, but we've had to have a quick tweak on the tools, so that went back to the tool room on Friday. But both the M3 and the M5 will be rolling off the presses this week. Yeah, today, tomorrow.
Right, okay, and then following that, what can
right? Well, next June, we're going to see a 15 mil Stuart M5A1 with all options on that. Early, mid, late, sound skirts without British US commanders, blah blah blah. I was trying to get the M8 Jalopy, the M5 as opposed to the M5A1, all onto one sprue, into one kit, but it's getting monstrous. Yeah. So I decided that we'll do a separate M8 Jalopy kit, which means that we can get a bit more in there. We can do the trailers for the M8, and we can, really make it a nice kit. Yeah?
Oh, right, okay.
So June is going to be M5A1 in 15 mil and in 1/72.
Right, okay.
Again, there's a gap there in the market, so June is all things Stuart. July, we're down at Bovey, which I love, lots of tanks. So we need a tank release for Bovey.
Yeah.
So we're aiming to have the 15 mil Cromwell for Bovey.
Oh, great, fantastic!
Which is
the Brits get a bit more love, yeah, excellent.
Yes, oh yes, yeah. Well, exactly. I did promise a focus on Brits and all of that this summer, and then we're also going to, for July, we're going to hopefully have the M4A4 Firefly kit in 172.
Yeah.
I was going to do it as an M4A4 and then a separate Firefly kit.
Yeah.
But actually, we're going big like the Panther and getting both options on one frame in one kit. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
We're filling in some of these 172 kits. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because of tooling time, and we need to make sure that we're pumping stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by doing some more 172nd kits, it gives my guys real time to get their teeth into the Churchill.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be August, both 15mm and 172.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do we have US heavy weapons on the island?
Right. Yes. Now.
Because I'm very conscious that we're missing that we're missing 30 cals.
Yes, I know. It's a constant fight.
Yes.
As I've said to quite a few people that are very patiently waiting for US heavy weapons and the 15mm Brits and the heavy weapons for Brits, both in 15mm and 172. What I've found is, and I'm saying to people, that the figure kits take an awful lot longer.
Yeah.
They take more of my time. They take more. Just the whole thing is more involved. Yeah. So unfortunately, because it takes up more of my time, I'm more involved on the figure kits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they take longer. They take longer. And as I've also said to all those people out there who were very patiently waiting for those Brits, the 15mm British, what I wanted to do was I wanted to redesign the Brits.
Yeah.
It's the kit we've got in 172 is great. It's fine. But there are too many pieces. It doesn't really translate straight down to 15mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's when we've got a kit done in one scale, usually it's pretty easy to downscale or upscale. Yeah. But with the Brits, I wanted to redesign. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm again, without saying too much, and I'm not sure yet, and any comments are always welcome, but I've always sensed that gap between the main set and the heavy weapons set is always a bit of a pain for everyone. And I'm wondering whether we actually might do a bigger set for the British infantry in 15mm and combine the heavy weapons into it.
Oh right.
Yeah, and then and also looking at going forward other 172 figure sets. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking and playing with the idea of rejigging it. Yeah. Yeah. And having some sort of heavy weapons in the main sets.
Yeah.
But so I can't promise that.
Yeah. So, but it basically becomes something like a company plus support in a box in 15mm, as opposed to just just the box standard rifle figures or what have you.
Yeah. I mean, it's that age-old thing. I mean, everyone used to say when you buy a box of the old-fashioned soft plastic stuff, Rebel, Airfix, whatever, it was always, there were always a bunch of poses as a gamer you can't use. Cheap box, but you find you only use half the box anyway.
Yeah.
So again, because these are gamer orientated, I want to make those boxes so that they fit. Yeah.
Sure.
With gaming systems, with Flames of War, with Battle Group, Kursk. They're proper.
Yes. So it's a case of be patient and they'll arrive.
They are coming. The thing is, it sounds blasé, but vehicle kits are actually much easier. Yeah. Because I can tell my guys, right, there you go, there's a pile of books and kits and create me a Cromwell tank, and I can leave the guys to do that. Yeah. And it churns through, because I've had, we are growing very quickly, and it's, we are very, very busy here. So,
certainly, it is very noticeable that your the number of kits that you produce, new kits that you produce every month. I mean, you were saying, I think it was a case of you wanted to try and produce to kind of do like 2 or 3 new kits every single month, and you seem to be doing that regular, very much right on schedule on those sort of things.
It's not bad. We're getting the whole process and the whole system is getting nicely streamlined, and we are managing to produce two kits a month, which is a lot, and we're sort of pleased with that. But of course, all the work that goes into kits, and keeping the flow going. Yes, it's sporty is the word, but we like it here. We like it.
Good stuff.
I think we're approaching our 50th kit in sort of 2.5 years. So yeah, no, it's going along nicely.
It's not bad going, is it?
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Right. Okay. Well, it's been great to speak to you, Will. Thank you very much for giving us the update. And we haven't mentioned Battlegroup Overlord much, have we?
Yeah, of course, yes. Our new baby that came out sleep last month, going very well. Very pleased with it. As I say, trying to theme the releases for that Normandy thing, and seems to be more people playing it. Let's say the sort of spread of 172 and 15 mil, which is good to see. Mm-hmm. As I say, I personally love me 172, but I want to see people playing our Overlord and Kursk in 15 mil. Work is well advanced on the next book, which is Fall of the Reich, which we're aiming for a sort of September-October release. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's that going to cover?
Well, it's going to cover both the sort of, if you like, the eastern side and the western side.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be that sort of Russian drive to Berlin. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But also it'll be the western side of it. So it'll be bouncing the Rhine and the fights up through Holland, and so there'll be something for everyone.
Oh, right, so that is effectively going to cover Market Garden?
No. The idea is we're going to do a separate Market Garden supplement.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Market Garden is, it's that classic campaign, isn't it?
Yes, exactly, and it's neat and all that, and obviously we will want to produce some nice paratrooper kits for that, so we want to do that properly. And also, it looks like what we're going to do is we'll also take the bulge out and do our dens in a small little campaign supplement as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's the final parts of the war, which it's going to be very interesting because you've got all the hodgepodge German stuff. So it'll be quite an interesting thing to model and create and play. But again, with our sort of points and group, based rule system, there'll be some nicely balanced games. Yeah, it's not just the Soviet juggernaut steamrolling over Volkssturm. Yeah, it'll be some fun stuff to play. So that's coming on nicely for September, October, and we're also even working on next spring's release. Yeah, mm-hmm. Which is going to be Blitzkrieg.
Oh wow! Okay, going early war.
So we're going to have a real focus on early war. Yeah. Because we all love early war, and it doesn't have as much love as it should do. Early war, everyone loves late war, so we're going to get everyone excited about early war next year.
All right, so it's all going to be all the new, a whole load of different tank kits for all early war stuff, and
yes, and then we're moving towards, which I say everyone knows, I can't wait, Desert, which is my baby. So. Yeah, we're moving to that. But we're going to try and have a sort of balanced release program where we're not just having a, late war, early war. We're going to try and, mix them up a bit. Mm-hmm. Hopefully every year, for the next 3-4 years, you'll see an early war, late war, per year.
Yeah.
Nicely mixed up. But, we're also working on some other nice, sort of projects and stuff as well, which I won't say too much now, but... I say World War II is not the only fruit out there.
Right.
There are other things to do. So we've got some exciting plans.
Right, okay. And on that enigmatic note, I think we'll leave it.
Super. Thanks very much, Neil.
Oh, well, it's lovely to speak to you, Will. Take care.
Thank you, Neil. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is very happy to be sponsored by Coat Dance Paints.
Now, Coat d'Arms have been supporting miniatures painters with their products for well over 20 years in some way, shape or form. Their current range is 150 sets of acrylic paint, which are available both as individual colours, but also in paint sets depending on period. Things such as the Ancients paint set, the World War II German, World War II American, World War II Russian paint sets, and they also include things like an ACW set and even a Horsetown set. That's one way to purchase your paints. And they also do triads. Now, if you're a fan of the 3-colour system, made famous by the likes of people like Kevin Dallimore, you may like to purchase your paints with a dark shade, a medium shade and a highlight. And the triad system from Coat d'Arms allows you to do this. They also have ranges of textured paints called Brushscape, which allow you to paint from textures onto bases as well as colour. And these are ideal especially for smaller scale models. And if you're a fan of the dip method of painting, then Coat d'Arms have their own product available called Super Shader. This is available in light brown, dark brown and black. Coat d'Arms paints have a whole range of products available to try. Check them out at www.blackhat.co.uk and be sure to tell them that we sent you.
I'm very pleased to catch up once again with Pete Berry from Baccus. Hello, Pete.
Hello, Neil. Nice to speak to you again.
Indeed, yes. I was very conscious that you were on my list of people to speak to at Salute, and I never quite got there. And it always seemed that you were somewhat busy.
Well, that's Salute for you. You feel like a red coat standing behind a mealie bag with all the Zulus coming at you for most of the day.
Uh-huh. Was it a good show?
It was very good, yes, thank you.
Excellent.
Lots of interest in all the new stuff and quite a bit of the old stuff as well. So, yeah, all in all, a very successful venture.
Excellent, yeah, because you had new range releases, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the first outing for the Crusade range, which we've just released.
Yeah.
And I was working feverishly to get the molds and the figures out for the show, and it was well worth it. Very well received. People seem to like what we've got there, and I'm very happy with the end result.
It's quite an extensive range, isn't it?
It has. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to put together the Muslim side for the Crusades, but it's quite a slippery subject. And you can't just cover it with one or two codes. You've got to go in there with a whole hog. So it's taken a long time to develop and a lot of research. But we finally got there with about twice the number of codes I'd originally expected to put in.
Yeah, there's some wonderful figures in there. It has to be said. They do look a fantastic range. So you know on the Crusades as far as that is concerned, and obviously figures-wise, you've got stuff that effectively cover First Crusade from a European point of view.
Yep.
Are you looking to further that with second and third?
We are. I mean, that work's already in progress.
Right.
We've got the first of the greens through on that, and I've got to say the sculptor's outdone himself. They are absolutely splendid. I'm waiting to get some cast up because I want to get to grips and paint these. The charging knights are quite something special.
Ooh.
So
charging knights.
Yep.
You said the right thing.
And they'll also obviously pass over quite nicely for Western European as well. So they'll have a dual purpose. And I think people are going to be very, very busy with these, trying to paint tiny heraldic devices on them.
So, I mean, you mentioned they'd be good for Western stuff. So, is that something you're then going to be moving into? So, you're going to be doing things like Hussites and all that sort of thing. Well,
that's always been the plan. What I've done is we've taken the Crusades almost as a development of the early medieval range that we did last year.
Yeah.
Mainly because, as you know, the Normans make perfect figures as Franks for the First Crusade.
Yeah. By
adding figures for, as you say, the Second and Third Crusades, we're also just reproducing the other way. We're producing Western European figures. We'll be expanding what we do with the Crusades to cover a greater geographical area,
right?
In Western Europe, and then start expanding that chronologically as well. So So we'll start pushing the medieval range forward, eventually to cover the Scots and Welsh Wars, the Baronial Wars, and then move into the 100 Years' War.
Yeah, sure. And of course, I suppose one of the advantages with that is that, to a great extent, although obviously there were some differences, generally the figures are very similar for both sides, isn't it? So.
Oh yes, one of the huge advantages of 6mm is the conversion by paintbrush. So we can produce a pretty comprehensive range of basic figures, but how you paint them and what banners you add will determine which side they're on. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Well, okay, so that kind of covers early and mid-medieval. We attempted to speak a week ago, and you were, let's say, up to your armpits and above in New French, saw here.
That's right, yes. We've been, I'm sure you're aware of it, we've been undergoing a major overhaul of Napoleonic Rangers for the past 3 years, which has involved us pulling the older figures, existing sculpts, replacing with completely new sculpts, and then increasing our coverage of a particular subject. And it's been a really in-depth process. And we've finally got around to doing the French, which is what everybody's been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to remember we spoke last year, and it was just at the point where you kind of went, yeah, I suppose it's about time to do the French. And at the time, it sounded like you weren't particularly looking forward to it because the French are just such a huge army to cover, aren't they?
Well, it is. The bleeders kept on changing their uniforms. That's the main problem with the infantry. I've just looked at the number of variants we're going to have to do, and it's ridiculous. The current code, the current range, has 19 codes in it.
Yeah.
At a conservative estimate, the finished range will have 56 codes in it.
Good grief!
You can understand it is absolutely a mammoth undertaking. It's probably the biggest range we will ever do.
Yeah.
So we've been clearing the decks a little bit just to give us room to actually have a go at this. The first fruits of that appeared at Triples last weekend in Sheffield. Mm-hmm. Having promised people that I'd turn up to the show with lots of new resculpted French line infantry. Yeah. On Thursday, I found myself still making moulds and having to sort the packaging out.
Right. Okay. I suppose that's what you might call cutting it fine.
It's just a normal everyday here at Baccus. Deadlines is just a very, very good score in Scrabble as far as we're concerned.
Excellent. Yeah, I take it. You achieved your goal, and they appeared.
Yes, they appeared for a short time. Then they disappeared. They proved to be very popular indeed.
Excellent.
We'd sold out of large parts of what we had produced by Sunday.
All right, great. Okay. So, when can people expect to see that range coming to fruition as far as all the extra codes coming into play?
I expect it's going to take us another year.
Right.
I would hope to finish earlier, but if it takes another year, I won't be surprised. It's a big long haul, but once we start a project, we finish it, we take it through to completion.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping in a year's time you'll be phoning me and congratulating me on having produced the last of the codes.
Yes, as I say, 56 codes is just a huge range, isn't it? Well, obviously that takes up a fair amount of your time as far as what you're going to be doing in the next few months. Is there anything else currently on the horizon?
Well, yeah. I mean, in terms of ranges, something I haven't mentioned is once we get the Western forces out of the way for the Crusades, we will be doing World War I range.
Oh, right. Something completely different.
Something completely different. Our first foray really past the 19th century. But we've already got plans well in progress for what we're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. And it will be, as anything we do, it will be a comprehensive and high-quality range. That goes without saying, doesn't it, Neil?
Oh, that's right. Certainly. One assumes it's going to be complete stuff, full range of infantry, cavalry, armour, and what have you. I mean,
everything, yes.
Yeah, okay.
We've got a really, really top quality straight line sculpt to work on vehicles and artillery.
Yeah.
Somebody who's actually new to the whole hobby. but he's producing top-notch starter models for us.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to working with him too to get that range out. We've got a couple of little projects in hand, which I'm not going to tell you about at the moment, to get the range off with a big bang.
Right. Okay. So when are you when are you looking at that coming out?
Well, we're looking at the latter half of the year.
Right. Okay.
We're looking the autumn show season, possibly coming up to Christmas, that sort of period.
All right. Wow, that is something really to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got World War One coming out, and then obviously, talking about shows, obviously there's another thing coming up is the Baccus Open Day, isn't it?
Well, yes, slightly different this year. I'm sure you know about our tours around our workshop, which we do every year now. We've been doing that for quite a few years, and they're always very popular. People get to have a look behind the scenes, see how the figures are made, how they're cast, and just see what the process is from beginning to end. If you haven't actually done it, it is quite a fascinating series of events, and it shows you how you get from green to finished items.
Yes, and I can heartily recommend it. I have had a private tour, it has to be said, around Baccus Towers, and it is fascinating. As I say, if you've never seen just how model figures are put together, it's quite it's a real eye-opener into the process, isn't it?
Yeah, it's everybody leaves having learned something, and we try and entertain. The tours last an hour and a half. Myself and the Igor here keep people happy. We try and have a laugh while we're doing it, and it's a really, really good session. We do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We have to book these in place because numbers are limited. It's a small workshop.
Yeah.
But they tend to be oversubscribed, so we will be taking bookings for these very, very shortly. And I'd recommend anybody listening to this, if they can, make the trip to Sheffield to have a look around. It doesn't matter whether you like 6mm figures or not. I think the process remains the same for anybody. And you get free coffee and hobnobs.
Hobnobs? Oh.
Yeah, and I'll take plain chocolate hobnobs. We don't skimp.
As Peter Kay would say, the marine of biscuits.
Absolutely.
Well, in the last couple of years, that's kind of been incorporated with a 6mm gaming day, hasn't it?
That's right. No, this is it's been a relatively new venture for us. We hold the tours on the Saturday, and on the Sunday, we've put on a gaming day. We call this a Baccus Gaming Day, which is probably the most original title. And we've done this in conjunction with a local group in Sheffield called Sheffield Irregulars.
Yeah.
Effectively, they needed a venue to put on an event they were holding. We needed a venue to put on an event we were holding. Between us, we could then afford to buy or to hire a much, much better place to stage these.
Yeah.
We've worked in partnership with them. This year, we are going solo.
Oh, right, okay.
So we are expanding the format of the show, which has been very, very popular, very well received the last couple of years, and we're just making it bigger and better. The show itself is being relaunched. It's no longer the Baccus Gaming Day. We are now proud to present the Joy of Six.
Yes, I detect a certain Mr. Berry's hand on that title.
I'm saying nothing here. All I can say is that the show itself will be a celebration of all things at 6mm. So we will be putting on absolutely top-rate demonstration games for the eye candy people.
Yeah.
The games last year were such a high standard. It's a shame it didn't get more widely reported. These were easily best of show games in any standard convention.
Yeah.
We will have things for people to do. We'll have participation games. We're hoping to get the Maidstone District Gamers Zulu game, which is a really fast-paced, furious recreation of Zandalwana.
Yeah.
We will have our 1812 Quick Step, which is the entire retreat from Moscow in 45 minutes.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We will have some Command and Colours variants out. People can play the Command & Colours games with 6 figures, very, very quick pickup games. There'll be 2 painting clinics running. So for all those people who said they can't paint 6 figures, we'll have a man who'll show you can. We'll also have a chap doing something similar, show you how to paint micro armour. So there'll be a lot going on there. There'll be 2 seminars, subjects yet to be confirmed during the course of the day. And there will be trade stands not only from Baccus but also from War Games Emporium of Sheffield, who are the co-sponsors of the event, but also the leading 6mm manufacturers. Heroics and Ross, Rapier, Total Battle Miniatures, Timecast will all be there.
Oh, right, okay, thanks.
So there's a lot to see for the committed 6mm gamer.
Yeah.
But we'd recommend, to be honest, anybody who's a war gamer comes and have a look, because it gives you a chance to see what we can offer in the context of a 6mm on the event. So it's not drowned out by all the big figures. It's not drowned out by all the eye candy from games in 15 or 28. You can purely see what all the strange people who do 6mm have been banging on about for years. How good it can look in its own right.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and as a dedicated micro-scale gamer, as you say, it gives that army look to a table, doesn't it?
Well, it will do, because I'll tell you now, one of the games we've got is we've managed to coax a rather special game out of retirement, which is Steve Thomas's English Civil War game.
Oh, right.
With 22,000 figures on the table. It's 2 English Civil War armies done at 1-to-1 scale.
Wow. Okay.
So we're looking at 600 strong cavalry units.
Right. Okay. Right. That's going to be a sight to see. That really is.
It's 32 feet long, and it's filled from end to end with figures.
Yeah.
On both sides. It is absolutely magnificent spectacle.
Ooh.
And that's going to be the one of the centerpieces of the event.
Right, okay, and so when's this going to be held, and when do you want people's money?
Okay, I'll give you full details now.
Yeah.
The open day, the workshop tours, are going to be on Saturday the 20th of June. There'll be 1 session in the morning and 1 session in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Entry to that's free, but you have to book those. The details will be appearing on the Baccus website in the next day or so on that.
Okay.
But effectively, a phone call to me or an email to me, and we will have that sorted for you.
Right.
The Sunday, the 21st of July, is the Joy of Six show.
Right.
Which will be held at the Workstation in central Sheffield.
Right.
There's loads of cheap or free parking, and it's right next to the railway station and the bus station, so if people travelling with public transport, it's very, very accessible.
Oh, right, okay.
And entrance is just £2.
Really? Oh, right. That's in the grand scheme of things, with all the other gaming shows and stuff, that's pretty impressive. Yep,
there is a bar and a cafe attached to the Workstation, so refreshments are available. And again, can only heartily recommend coming along. I think you have your eyes open if you're not into 6mm. If you're into 6mm, you're in Nirvana.
Sounds like a really good day. It really does. Yes. Fantastic. Well, it's been great to speak to you, Pete. Great to catch up. And hopefully I'll get a chance to catch up with you in the not-too-distant future. And then perhaps we can have a bit more love for Commander Horizon at some point.
Okay. I'll just have to flog the ego a bit more.
Okay. It's been fantastic to chat, Pete. Thank you very much.
Okay. Nice to talk to you, Neil.
Okay, well, I hope you found those 4 interviews of interest. I want to say thank you to Mike, Greg, Will and Peter for talking to the show. So a quick heads up on where we go from here. First off, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for your continued support and downloading the show through what admittedly has been a slow month. Just a quick heads up on a couple of things. First off, if you're going to Operation Market Larden in Evesham on June the 8th, I look forward to seeing you there. A Deacon's invited me along for the day. It's a day at Wife and Wargamers, I think it is, and they've invited Rich Clark up to show off Chain of Command, and several other larger games are going on during the day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody there. It's great to bump into several people at the UK Games Expo, which was last weekend as I record this. Always been a good show. It was a new venue this year at the NEC Metropole, as opposed to the old Masonic Hall, which is where it started. Much better venue, really improved the event in my opinion. Still not without its issues, but a good day out all the same. Lovely to see lots of families at that show actually. That was the biggest impact I thought for this year. What can you expect to hear coming up from Meeples and Miniatures in the near future? Well, I recorded a show probably a couple of weeks ago, as I'm recording this now, with Rich Jones and Mike Hobbs. You'll know about this if you're on my Facebook page. It's a bit of a sprawling show, to be honest. We talked about several different things, and I've since recorded a follow-up with Mike, a couple of follow-ups actually with Mike on All Quiet on the Martian Front. And so I'm trying to edit and chop that around into some semblance of 2 or 3 shows. We were recording for that long. And it was, a single show, 2.5 hours or so. It's just too much to cover, and so I decided to, try and edit all around, making a bit of a rod from my own back, I think. But to be honest, I'm trying to chop that up and get that into some sort of listenable form at this point in time. It's quite interesting because we have several chats about, I think, several things to do with sci-fi, Star Wars, Dead Zone, Dreadball Season 2, and the aforementioned All Quiet on the Martian Front, amongst other things. Following that, I know several people have been complaining about the sheer amount of stuff that we've had about Kickstarters recently. And yeah, okay, I know what you mean. It's funny enough, in this show that we recently recorded, Rich, Mike and I chat about Kickstarters a little bit. And to be honest, got off on a bit of a rant at one point. Kickstarters, it just seems to be the way the industry is at this point in time. They're certainly flavour of the month, and there's an awful lot of things happening. I think one of the tensions certainly I have at this point in time is looking at the fact of, there's some interesting projects going on in Kickstarter, so I want to be able to talk to people and bring you that information. But at the same time, it does get overkill when all you hear about is Kickstarters. And they seem to degenerate into some sort of infomercial for these projects that are currently ongoing. So I appreciate where people are coming from, when some people are going, oh, not another show about Kickstarter. So what I want to get back to essentially is probably what I do best. Interviews with people about different game systems, and also in-depth reviews. There's a load of games, a load of rule sets that I haven't had a chance to in-depth review on the show yet. They're all kind of stacking up, right back to things like Pike and Shot, and so I've got stuff queuing up for well over a year. So the aim is to try and bring those to you over the next few months. So probably fewer interviews, maybe even fewer multi-presenter shows, because if I do a show on my own with an in-depth interview, that's actually quite easy to record. So you might hear a lot more of me and maybe less of a few other people on some shows in the near future. I am also hoping to record some interviews. I think I mentioned on episode 108, but if I didn't, I'm hoping to talk to Great Escape Games about Dead Man's Hand. Planning to have a chat with the guys at Foreground. I'm hoping to get a hold of the guys at 7TV. They produce some really interesting systems, and I'd like to chat to them. And also, going to have a chat with Jake Thornton, but not about Dead Zone. Going to be chatting to him about another system he released called Battles. So, lots to come up in the near future, and thanks to Mike Whittaker for just mentioning on the Facebook page that, oh, by the way, you haven't forgotten the fact that you still haven't done the episode 100 comments show yet. And it is the middle of May. Well, end of May, as I record this. It's almost the middle of the year. 6 months late in that one, mate. Apologies if you're waiting for that. I haven't forgotten that not only are we doing comments, but I've got a prize draw. So, hopefully, I've got a nice prize for somebody coming in the very near future. But I've just got to kind of get myself organised and get round to that. Okay, so that's going to be, well, I'll hopefully get that to you before the middle of the year, shall we say? Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough, so just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And until next time, happy gaming, and I hope next time isn't as far away as it has been on the last show. Take care, everybody. I'll speak to you very soon. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you want to know more about Meeples and Miniatures, there are several things you can do. First of all, you can visit the website at www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. If you want to contact the show at all, you can email me at neil@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. You can follow the show on Twitter. Simply look for M&M Podcast, or click the follow us on Twitter button from the website. We also have a group on Facebook. That's the Meeples and Miniatures Podcast Fan Club. Again, follow the link from the website. And finally, if you want to help us to support the show, you can always donate to the podcast by clicking the PayPal button on the donate page, again found on the website. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope you've really enjoyed the show. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.